Hey friends, if you remember last week, I showed you this really cool beach cover-up that I picked up in Greece. I was obsessed with the print, but didn't love the way it laid on me. So we're going to do some upcycling, and this is what it looks like before. The print is just magical. I love the sun, the moon, the planets, but right there, it just like sat under my booty and just didn't look good. So I have all this fabric underneath to rework it, so let's go. I pretty much love the top as is, so I'm just cutting that off so I can just put that aside and hem that later. So I'm just cutting this top half completely off, and then once I have that done, this is the bottom of the beach cover-up. There is a ton of fabric. It's still ruffled up at the top. So I'm going to cut this ruffle seam top off right here just so I can get the fabric to lay flat. Now I brought it to my ironing board to give it a good press. Once I did this part, I could not actually believe how much it opened up. Look how much fabric this is. It's like 2 yards almost. I had in my brain that I wanted to do shorts, but these print designs are so big, I don't want to lose any of it. Then I was thinking capris because there's not enough for a pant, but I'm not really a capris gal. Then I landed on skirt because I will literally waste none of this fabric. Now there's already this really cool button detail, so instead of cutting it off, I'm doing the buttons up right here so I know exactly where it lays. And I'm just going to stitch this down, but not all the way because I want there to be a cool little slit, so maybe like right about there. So I grabbed a ruler and I held it on my body to measure where I wanted the slit to start. I'm folding the top to account for the elastic waistband I'll sew in. And once I have that lined up, I will make a mark so I know where to stop stitching and then where the slit will start. Now I just grabbed some white thread and I'm stitching it down right along the edge of that seam. You won't even see the stitch line. It'll kind of look like a little detail. Here's a little close-up. She's looking lovely already. I'm using the original hem of the bottom of this beach cover-up, so all I need to do is clean up the top of this before I am ready to put in my elastic waistband. If you don't have this rotary cutter and the cutting mat, I highly, highly recommend. It makes life so much easier. It literally cuts like butter. Just be careful because she is so sharp. That would have taken me like 4 minutes with scissors. And look how straight that is. She is ready to go. You just need to secure this raw edge so it doesn't fray. If you don't have a serger like me, you can easily use a regular sewing machine with a zigzag stitch. We are cruising right along. We are honestly almost done. The next thing you want to get is some elastic. I didn't have white, but I have black. It'll be fine. You won't see it. Now you want to cut it a couple inches smaller than your waist because it's going to stretch and you don't want it to be too loose. This elastic is a little over 1 inch wide, so what I'm doing here is I am placing it. I'm not putting the elastic in yet. I just want to see how much I need to fold it over. You want to make sure when you fold it here that you give about 1/4 inch at least of space so you can bring that elastic through the tunnel, because if not, you're going to have to take your stitching out and have to redo it. Once I fold it over where I want it, I then start pinning, and you can see it here. I'm just double checking now with the elastic that I have enough space to stitch. I want to sew right along that edge. I always sew from the inside here so I can see exactly where my needle's going to make sure that I'm catching both layers of that fabric. Now you want to make sure you don't stitch this all the way around closed because you got to get the elastic in there. You're going to want to save about 2 inches of space. So once you get around to the end, you'll see I close it off right here and there's a couple inches space. I'll show you in 1 second. This is where I'm going to guide my elastic in. She is looking good. A couple tips with the elastic here. This big safety pin will be your best friend in the world because it's going to be really hard to get that elastic through if you don't have something to grab and pull it through. You also want to make sure when you're guiding it through, you're not flipping the fabric and the elastic isn't flipping and it's staying straight all the way through. The safety pin makes life so much easier, so you just grab that safety pin and kind of just like push it through like so. Another amazing tip with this process that I learned the hard way is this end sometimes will just go zoop and get stuck right inside there, and then you have to take it out and redo it. So adding a safety pin on the back there and then clipping it in right where that opening is will prevent it from getting stuck into the tunnel and will save you so many times. So once you get to the end, you have these 2 pieces. You really want to make sure it's not twisted, because if it is and you stitch it down, you're going to have to take it out and redo it. Now, instead of stitching it like this with these elastics facing each other, you're going to have a big bump there. So if you stitch it like this, it'll be nice and flat. I do a little zigzag stitch and I go over it a bunch of times and it'll be sealed forever. You could technically do a straight stitch here if you want to, but if you do a zigzag back and forth, it covers more ground on the elastic and it's not going anywhere. All right, the skirt's almost done. We just have to close up this opening here. So I'm just opening it up right here so I can pin it. And then I'm just going to do a little stitch there just where the opening is to close it up. After you do this, your skirt is complete, and now we just need to hem this raw edge of our top. Once again, I'm going to take the edge to my serger. If you don't have one, a zigzag stitch works perfectly on a regular machine. But I will say, if you're serious about sewing, a serger definitely gives it a more clean, professional finish. Once I do that, I'll be folding it over and stitching it. Here is my serged edge. Look how clean and darling she looks. Now that that's done, we're just folding it over and we're going to be stitching it for our hem. Once again, I am stitching from the inside so I can see exactly where my needle's going. To create this hem, I folded it up about 1 inch. I'm also using a straight stitch, and my stitch length is about a 2.75. Anywhere between 2.5 and 3 is perfect. Last step to make her look nice and clean, like I already did on the right there, give her a nice press, and then voila, we got a 2-piece little outfit. And she's done, and I love her. I'm getting 70s, sort of Mary Tyler Moore vibes. The top I tied in the front to kind of give it a fitted look. Rather than just a beach cover-up, I feel like you could wear it to more places. There's the fun little slit. I love her. What drew me to this beach cover-up is this fabric. I literally am obsessed with this print. The sun, the moon, Jupiter, the stars, the eyes. I love her. She's adorable. Let me know your thoughts on my little revamp of this cover-up, and I'll be back next week for some more upcycles of some cool thrifted stuff I find. So, bye!